Hey guys, it's Seth here from Silverstone Gaming, and I'm back again this week to talk about delays. And why are delays so common? Because recently we've had some very big games delayed, and the last big games for these current generation consoles, they're being pushed back by months. And it's not necessarily concerning, but it's a very big deal in the community at the moment when we have games like Cyberpunk get delayed for up to 5 months, Last of Us 2 get delayed for a few months, and Dying Light 2 being delayed indefinitely with no release date given. And they're moving away from spring 2020, and we don't know when that game's going to be released. And look, ultimately, we get these early expectations because developers and big companies just want to sell pre-orders. Ultimately, that's why we get a very early release date, and it's, why they do it, because they need to sell some pre-orders before they finish making the game, really. They don't necessarily have to, but they really, really like to. And when people get that release date, pre-order prices go way up. But obviously, some people don't like when the games get delayed by lots like Cyberpunk did, and pre-orders tend to drop off or get cancelled. But that's a very big, different story for another day. But look, that's ultimately why we get these early release dates that obviously don't come to tuition, and why games don't release as early as they do. And yeah, look, that's why developers give us such an early release window. But the audiences ourselves, we've changed so much in our expectations and our criticisms and reactions to when games are released unfinished or buggy. Like, for example, Days Gone, when it was released last year, it was held to some very strong criticism because of how poorly optimized it was and how buggy it was with its frame rate drop. And it was, really harshly criticized for that, and myself included really didn't like it. I saw it coming in actually one of my videos on this channel back last year when I talked about Days Gone, and how it's very disappointing to see developers release games unfinished. And it's something that's become much, much more apparent and common within the video game industry, that if you release a buggy game, you're going to be held to some very strong criticism. And this change in this audience expectations has led to developers looking to gain more respect of their audiences. Like CD Projekt Red, when they released The Witcher 3 back in 2015, that game was very poorly optimized and was buggy at launch. And, that was held to some criticism, not as strong as we get today, but they really took that to heart, and we can see that with Cyberpunk 2077. That game's not being released till it's finished. They even said that themselves. And obviously we got that April 2020 release date that's not happening now. And like I said, they did that so they could sell pre-orders. But now we're getting, a longer wait time, which myself, I went, I have loads more respect for CD Projekt Red, because they're going to delay this massive game that has so much expectations and has a lot of people waiting for it. They've decided to delay it because they don't want to release a crappy, buggy game. And I'm all for that. That's something I want to see more of, and I'm happy to wait longer for a much better product. And now look, games have become much bigger, and, people want bigger, better games. It just happens, and it's natural for that. And new technology allows that to happen, and it's obviously why we're getting these much, much bigger release windows between these games. And again, that's going to lead to more delays, and it happens. Like, having big games leads to more chances of bugs, poor optimization, all those kinds of things that can lead to scheduling just not beating deadlines. It just happens. And unfortunately, we need to wait longer for bigger and better games, like Cyberpunk 2077. Now look, hopefully these delays will become less common with developers now knowing how much time is needed to make games, and they're not going to give release dates till they're somewhat certain that they can meet these deadlines. But recently it shows that they actually are kind of, pushing what they do know and what they don't know. And that's fine. I'm open to seeing these delays. Like, personally, I don't care, but they're very frowned upon by some people. And then there's people like me who think they're a great thing and are probably needed more for the industry, unless, you've properly scheduled your game and you know what deadlines you're going to meet and when you're going to meet them properly, and you're not going to release a piece of shit just to meet deadlines, that's fine. However, with new technology now coming out and the gap between releases getting much larger, delays are probably going to become much more common next year and for the next few years, really, because, you know, the devs are working with new systems and new hardware, and, you know, new engines are going to come out, and it's going to be very similar to the early PS4, Xbox One life cycles. Because if you guys do remember, it was filled with constant delays and buggy, unfinished games. Like, AC Unity springs to mind. That was 2014, and it's one of the first, like, you know, it was one of the first big games that was pushing the PS4 to its limits. And it was released as a piece of shit. It was unplayable to a lot of people. And don't get me wrong, it was still a bad game, but it was so buggy and really poorly optimized that it got absolutely bashed with so much criticism. And then, you know, we had other games that got delayed for ridiculously long periods of time, like Arkham Knight. That was delayed for up to 8 months. And, you know, that was only a year after Unity. And, yeah, these delays are probably going to be very common next year. Like, you guys are probably going to need to know that. And with the reaction I'm seeing on the internet to the delays of Cyberpunk and Avengers, it's kind of silly. But I've also seen people get behind these delays and are very happy to see that developers are giving more time to games because they know their games aren't ready, and I'm happy to see that. But that's all I have to say on this topic about why these delays are so common and how they're probably going to be more common, as hopeful as I am that they aren't going to be. But as we can see, even at the end of the PS4, Xbox One life cycle, devs are still not able to schedule and reach deadlines. And that happens everywhere. Like, it's not just game development, it happens in all kinds of work and other workplaces. But, you know, these delays are probably going to become very apparent and probably more common, and we're going to see it with nearly every game again at the start of the PS5, Xbox lifecycle. But yeah, if you guys want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel. There's a link in the description. Press the big red button. Give this video a like. Check out Silver Soul Gaming's website, our Twitch, my Twitch, our Twitter, our Facebook, our Patreon, everything Silver Soul Gaming. Just go check it out. There's always an article being chucked up on the website. There's heaps of stuff that's always going up on the website. It's kept on a lot more than this YouTube channel. I'm the only person running it, but there's a few more people writing articles. So go check that out. Support them. Support us as a website, as a little kind of company. But yeah, check everything else out, Silver Soul Gaming, and I'll see you guys next week for another video, and maybe this week for a stream. Have a good day or night or wherever you are. I don't really know what's going on where you live.